welcome to a special Granite State Debates edition of Close Up here on the road at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. I'm WMUR Political Director Adam Sexton. We've got about 48 hours left to go before the election. A lot of excitement out there on the ground in the Granite State. We're going to be talking about all of the things that happened on this debate stage last week, generated a lot of news. And here to help us guide us through, our Sherpa through all of the news and political world, Scott Spradling. Thanks for being here, Scott.
Adam, my pleasure. Thanks so much.
So oddly enough, last week we talked about you never really know what's going to be the headline coming out of a debate, and we're going to be talking in this block about the Senate and governor's debates. Oddly enough, in that Senate debate, one of the biggest things that happened didn't actually happen in this debate room. Take a look at some of this video that we have from outside the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. Don Bolduc was greeting his supporters at the sine wave outside the NHIOP. He was being followed by a libertarian activist with a camera. There was a brief interaction or encounter between the two of them, and this was initially reported by a number of national media outlets as an assault against Bolduc based on eyewitness accounts from Bolduc supporters. The individual who was following Bolduc says the general actually elbowed him, and he has filed a police complaint. Bolduc denies assaulting the man. That libertarian activist was charged with criminal trespass and disorderly conduct because he had been asked to leave the property by police already, but not charged with assault, that individual. People can watch the video and draw their own conclusions, but Scott Spradling, for better or worse, this is something that's happened. It's far and away become the dominant headline emerging from this debate, and that's something that's now, like we said, for better or worse, in the mix of what voters are looking at as they head toward Election Day.
You're right, Adam. At the end of the day, this is an incident that took place outside of the debate stage, but it was led to us by a comment made by the general right here on the stage, which raised a lot of questions about what happened? What was going on? He drew attention to it initially. That combined with an earlier in the week headline about kitty litter and bathroom use at Pinkerton Academy in Derry, which triggered national headlines. Sort of the bottom line in politics is, with 48 hours to go, if you're talking about things like assaults and kitty litter, you're not talking about your issues in your platform, and that in and of itself is not a great way to finish a campaign.
It's tough for General Bolduc because his performance on the debate stage was talking to folks who are in the political world. People were lauding his performance here. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of your key takeaways from the Senate debate?
So it felt to me that the general outdueled Senator Hassan in terms of style and just staying on the attack. I mean, it was a pure general type military performance, attack, attack, attack. He took every opportunity possible to criticize the senator, to attach her to the Biden administration, and to essentially say this is not the way of how we should be moving forward. I thought he was very effective with it. The question ends up being, was it a little too much? Stylistically, he was very aggressive. Might there have been opportunities for him to tone it back, but might there also have been opportunities for Senator Hassan to jump in and counterpunch, which she really didn't do?
There were a lot of people wondering why she might not have defended herself a little bit more, or perhaps more forcefully at times. Let's take a look at one clip here, particularly on the issue of inflation. Just take a look at how General Bolduc, and he was doing this time and again in a very disciplined way, pivoting from an attack and attaching Senator Hassan to the Biden administration.
I got to give her credit, though. The first time I heard her use the word inflation was tonight. She doesn't even talk about it. She skips around that, all around that issue, because she's caused it. All her votes in the Senate have caused this heating and eating issue that we have, retirees going back to work. She's created it with her 100% support to Joe Biden's failed policies.
It is really important that we do everything we can to lower people's costs in the short term. And that's why it's so concerning that Don Bolduc keeps proposing things that would actually raise people's costs. In addition to refusing to stand up to Big Pharma or Big Oil on the cost-reducing measures we took at the end of the summer, Don Bolduc also proposes eliminating Social Security.
It's interesting, Scott. I look back at the debate from 2016, and Senator Hassan's performances were almost identical. Very consistent. She had her messages then about then Senator Kelly Ayotte. Yep. She executed it. Oddly enough, her campaign, and I shouldn't say oddly enough, her campaign was very confident coming out of this debate. They thought they did what they needed to do.
Well, the one thing she did do was answer with a great deal of detail about things that are going on around the programs and processes, procedures in Washington. That may turn off a lot of voters, but it also shows that she commands the understanding of the nuances and the areas of gray when it comes to dealing with national or even local politics. It's rarely a black and white conversation, and she was able to showcase that. She was certainly articulate in the issues.
Let's take a look at one more clip from this debate. This was another interesting one in the lightning round when we essentially asked them about world leaders that they might admire, and this was an interesting one. The national media thought this was interesting for one reason. I thought it was interesting for another, but let's take a look at the clip first and see what happened. Looking abroad. What prime minister, president, or one world leader do you admire, General Bolduc?
Looking out there, world leaders that I admire. You know, the world is in such a difficult position right now. I'm not going to say I admire anybody right now. The world needs a lot of work. It is hurting. And the leaders that I see are operating at the expense of people.
Senator.
Vladimir Zelensky.
So what I thought was interesting about this, Scott, was that some of the national media were jumping on General Bolduc saying, oh, he didn't have an answer there. I thought it was unique in the sense that here's an individual who spent years of his life outside of the United States serving this country, and really interesting in where the Republican Party is. He certainly could have named a lot of people outside of this country. It didn't have to be a major world leader, and he chose not to. And that's sort of the interesting way that America First has taken the Republican Party. It is really, in some ways, America standing on its own, and you can't really find a lot of allies out there.
You're right. In that particular conversation, it's a little bit get off my lawn politics from Don Bolduc. And I also think in the lightning round, when you asked the most effective, most popular, best president last 20 years, she went right to Obama. He sort of hesitated for a moment as if he was thinking about it and then named President Trump. And as we've seen from the somewhat backhanded endorsement from the former president to General Bolduc and the what is a maybe complicated relationship between the two, I took note of that. I thought that was an interesting moment where it was sort of a no-brainer. You knew he was going to say it, but he made it look like he was thinking about it for a minute. Interesting moment.
Certainly be some PhD dissertations written about the Bolduc and Trump relationship. We'll see how it all plays out on Election Day. Very interesting race. Let's pivot to the governor's race. This was the early part of the week. People might have forgotten about this. It's many days later, but some interesting stuff in this one. And I was curious, Scott, for your perspective on this, because we had Governor Sununu do 6 debates, and it seemed at times that maybe he had enough of this process during this. He was pretty animated, even though, you know, this is a race right now by the polls that he's going to win by a lot.
You know, he's got a lot of enthusiasm. He's someone who is, the theme of his campaign is, look where we're at, sort of look what we've accomplished together. 6 years in office, going for a 4th term, leading in the polls by a substantial amount going into Tuesday. So the wins are at his back, and it's an interesting sort of difference between the congressional Republicans arguing doom and gloom and problems and our own New Hampshire Republican running for re-election talking about all the great things, most livable, safest, healthiest, one of the best educations. We've got a surplus. We have almost a nationally leading unemployment. So he paints an extremely rosy picture, and his energy reflected that sort of enthusiasm.
Let's take a look at one of the clips here, part of this debate addressing the issue of higher education.
You guys didn't double the amount of money going to the university system. I didn't cut any money there. So again, Democrats had the opportunity. It's easy to say, and when you had the shot, you didn't do it. So let me ask you, how are you going to reduce tuition? Where's the money going to come from?
Well, first of all, in 2019, if we had passed that, you probably would have vetoed it like you did so many other bills back then. But second of all, what we need to be doing is we need to be bringing down tuition. We have the surplus. We can reinvest. And if we reinvest in our university program like so many other states are doing, we get our children to stay here for their careers. That's how we do it.
The surplus is one-time money. Again, so Tom Sherman will solve the problem for 1 year.
No.
So it's interesting here, Scott, and your perspective on this will be important, I think. You know, 3 of the opponents who have faced Chris Sununu have faced off against him at the State House, and they end up trapped in these battles about Concord and what has gone on kind of behind the scenes. You vetoed this. It seems like not just Senator Sherman, but Senator Feltus at the time and Colin Van Osteren, they sometimes can get trapped a little bit. Sununu can drive around them, and they're stuck in these fights that happen under the Golden Dome. I
agree, and I think that's somewhat reflective in the type of job that is required of them. So you have a state senator who's representing his district geographically, but then he's Concord-centric with the political work that he does. Governor Sununu is out and all over the place all the time, and being out and about like that, combined with also being an engineer, combined with the fact that he's a 3-term incumbent, he has been here before. He's very comfortable on a stage and in a moment like this, and so therefore he's able to explain his ideas and use the types of quarries and jabs that are important tools in a debate like that with this type of format to be very effective in getting the message out. By turning a question against Tom Sherman, it puts him even more on the defensive, and it showcases the relative comfort and discomfort in this kind of a forum.
Of course, a lot of people have been wondering about what's next for Governor Chris Sununu. We did ask him a question about the future and his commitment to being governor in the lightning round. Take a look. Governor Sununu, can you commit to the people of New Hampshire that you will serve a full 2-year term without running for any other office other than governor during that time?
Yeah, look, I get it. People wanted me to run for U.S. Senate and all that. I love New Hampshire. As a governor, this is where you get stuff done, and you got to give 110%. You know, when it comes to campaigns, previous governors would get elected, and then they start raising money right away. It drove me crazy. And as soon as you start doing that, as soon as you start campaigning, you're putting politics as a variable into your decision-making. So yeah, that commitment is absolutely there. I don't want to go anywhere but be governor of New Hampshire.
So it's a yes, no other office.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr. Sherman.
Well, I think that's interesting because the governor has been almost anywhere but New Hampshire over the last several months.
So it's not a legally binding document saying that he won't run for president.
But you got it.
It's a pretty good answer and different from, we saw Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida almost completely freeze in the face of this question, probably indicating that he's going to run for president. Doesn't sound like Sununu is heading in that direction anymore.
No, and you know, this is first of all, I have to say this. When you are talking about running for re-election for governor and there's all this intense focus about a national campaign, it sort of talks to the relative strength of your incumbency and your ability to be successful on Tuesday. I'm not telegraphing too many plays, but it certainly plays into that. And you know, Governor Sununu, I'm close enough to some of the people behind the scenes. He's telling the truth about the fundraising. In fact, a lot of folks in the Republican Party are probably frustrated that he doesn't do it more to help more Republicans get elected. So he's sort of, you know, giving some truth there. Bottom line is, he has given you that promise. There are a lot of conversations in Washington about his national profile. There's a lot of conversations about vice president, so you don't have to run for president. You can just get picked at the very end of the game.
Yeah, you know, and it'll be interesting to see. And you know, the fundraising's not great, and if you were going to run for president, you would need to start doing more and more and more of that. So,
yeah.
But that, you know, cabinet, VP, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Governor Chris Sununu.
Absolutely.